Pirate ships carried foods you'd never guess, some risky, some revolting, and some worth fighting over. But what exactly ended up on their plates during those long, lawless voyages when survival meant eating whatever could last at sea? One of the most common and saltiest staples was salted meat, a barreled lifeline that could last half a year or more. Salted meat kept pirate crews alive for 6 to 12 months at sea, packed in wooden barrels under thick salt layers that drew out moisture. This beef or pork became so intensely salty that pirates soaked it for hours before cooking, turning tender meat into edible leather. Fresh meat was cut into chunks and buried under mountains of coarse salt inside barrels. Salt sucked out all the water that bacteria needed to survive, creating harsh environments where nothing could grow or spoil. These fearless pirates who could face deadly storms and enemy cannons had to baby their meat like it was made of pure gold. One wet barrel could mean the difference between a successful voyage and a crew slowly starving to death. Storage was a constant battle against the elements. Heavy barrels took up precious space on cramped ships, and if seawater leaked in, entire supplies would be ruined instantly. Pirates checked their meat obsessively, keeping everything bone dry. Even after soaking and boiling multiple times, the meat still tasted overwhelmingly salty and tough. Pirates mixed it with whatever other ingredients they could find to mask the intense, overwhelming flavor. But not everything pirates ate required such extreme preservation methods. Hardtack was every pirate's absolute nightmare food. Rock-hard biscuits made from flour, water, and salt that could literally break teeth and jaws. This simple bread was baked until all moisture disappeared completely, creating indestructible squares that lasted for years. Pirates often joked that their hardtack could stop enemy cannonballs better than the ship's wooden armor plating. The recipe was deceptively simple. Mix flour with water, roll flat, cut into squares, bake until harder than the ship's deck. Smart pirates never bit directly into hardtack unless they wanted expensive dental emergencies. Instead, they soaked pieces in water, rum, or whatever liquid was available until the biscuits became chewable without causing permanent damage. Weevils made the situation infinitely worse for hungry crews. These tiny bugs burrowed deep into stored hardtack, leaving behind holes and disgusting eggs. Pirates learned to tap their biscuits against hard surfaces, listening for telltale hollow sounds meaning bug damage inside. Creative pirates crumbled hardtack into stews, fried pieces in whatever fat they had available, or soaked it in grog until it resembled something close to actual edible bread. Eating rock-hard bread made pirates desperately thirsty for liquid relief. Weak beer and grog completely replaced fresh water on pirate ships because regular water turned green and slimy within weeks of leaving port. These alcoholic drinks weren't just for entertainment, they were literally the difference between staying hydrated and dying from poisoned water. Pirates quickly learned that being slightly drunk all day was infinitely better than being completely dead from contaminated water. Weak beer contained just enough alcohol to kill harmful germs while being safe for continuous all-day drinking without impairment. Grog was even better for long voyages, rum mixed with water and sometimes lime juice that was both safe and effectively prevented the deadly disease scurvy. Each pirate crew jealously guarded their secret grog recipe like precious treasure maps. Storage created constant headaches for ship management. Beer barrels needed to stay cool to prevent spoilage, while rum required careful rationing to prevent crews from drinking themselves into complete uselessness. Smart captains personally controlled all alcohol distribution. Pirates also used strong rum for cleaning infected wounds, numbing excruciating pain during crude surgery, and as general medicine for various ailments. Alcohol effectively became their entire liquid pharmacy. Sharing grog created strong friendships during dangerous voyages and gave exhausted crews something pleasant to anticipate after brutal working days. Liquid calories alone couldn't sustain hardworking pirates through their physically demanding lives. Dried beans and peas provided essential protein and energy that kept pirate crews strong enough for handling heavy sails, fighting fierce battles, and surviving months at sea. These humble foods were packed everywhere possible and lasted months without spoiling when kept completely dry. They were like nature's own time capsules, just waiting patiently for water to magically bring them back to life. The preservation process was elegantly simple. Harvest at peak ripeness, dry thoroughly in sun, then pack tightly into completely waterproof containers. Black beans, navy beans, chickpeas, and dried peas each offered slightly different flavors and textures that helped break up the deadly monotony. Pirates quickly learned which types cooked fastest and held together best during rough weather and violent storms. Preparation required considerable patience that busy crews didn't always have available. Dried beans needed many hours of soaking before cooking, so someone had to plan meals far in advance. Most cooking happened in large communal pots. Storage was a constant war against persistent pests. Canvas sacks needed regular inspection for tears, moisture damage, and pest invasions. Hungry rats and insects loved dried beans just as much as starving pirates did. The economic factor was huge for budget-conscious pirates. Beans cost very little in port, but provided excellent nutrition for the money spent. Plain boiled beans got incredibly boring and tasteless after eating them for weeks. Spices and dried herbs were more precious than stolen gold to pirates who had been choking down completely flavorless food for weeks on end. These magical powders could actually transform terrible-tasting salted meat into something that almost resembled a real, edible meal. These tiny containers held more daily life improvement power than entire barrels full of stolen silver coins. Pirates specifically attacked merchant ships for their valuable spice cargo, knowing that pepper, cloves, and cinnamon equaled actual treasure in practical value. Pepper ruled supreme among all pirate seasonings available. This potent black powder effectively masked spoiled meat taste while adding fiery heat that made boring meals genuinely exciting. Small pinches could transform entire pots from completely inedible to worth fighting over. Cloves helped with constant tooth pain and horrible breath from eating nothing but preserved foods for months. Cinnamon provided natural sweetness without requiring precious sugar supplies and powerfully reminded homesick pirates of comfortable home cooking. Storage required extremely careful attention to detail. Pirates used sealed wooden boxes and metal tins for protecting valuable seasonings from moisture and hungry pests that would destroy these incredibly valuable supplies. The psychological boost was completely immeasurable for crew morale. After weeks of eating identical bland meals, the right spices could lift crew morale higher than successful treasure raids. Sometimes pure luck brought fresh ingredients that needed absolutely no enhancement whatsoever. Fresh fruit was like striking pure gold for crews who had been surviving on nothing but preserved foods for months. Successful raids yielding oranges, bananas, and mangoes provided incredible flavor variety and essential disease-preventing nutrients that kept deadly conditions away. Pirates instinctively knew that crews regularly eating citrus fruits stayed much healthier, successfully avoiding horrible conditions that made teeth fall out painfully. Oranges were most highly prized for lasting longest and delivering the biggest possible nutritional punch. Sweet tart citrus flavor hit deprived taste buds like explosive cannon fire after weeks of eating nothing but salty, bland meals. Bananas provided immediate quick energy, but spoiled much faster than a pirate's hard-earned reputation in civilized ports. Mangoes offered exotic tropical sweetness that most pirates had never experienced before their Caribbean adventures began. These messy tropical fruits were difficult to eat properly, often resulting in sticky juice running down unwashed beards. Storage was the biggest ongoing challenge for crews. Fresh fruit spoiled within mere days in hot, humid ship conditions. Pirates had to consume everything quickly or helplessly watch their precious treats rot completely. The heartbreak of watching perfectly good fruit spoil was emotionally unbearable for hungry crews. Pirates tried every possible freshness trick, but tropical heat always won eventually. When fresh fruit inevitably spoils completely, pirates have reliable backup options available. Dried fruit offered concentrated natural sweetness that could last for many months when properly stored in completely sealed barrels. Raisins, figs, and dates provided immediate quick energy and reminded pirates that food could actually taste genuinely good instead of terrible. These wrinkled treats were like nature's own candy, except they actually provided real nutrition instead of just rotting teeth. The drying process effectively concentrated all natural sugars into small, highly portable packages that packed serious nutritional punch for hungry crews. Raisins were most commonly available since grapes grew abundantly in Mediterranean ports where pirates frequently stopped for supplies. These shriveled gems delivered instant energy during physically demanding tasks like raising heavy sails or fighting bloody battles. Figs offered more exotic flavors and satisfying chewy texture that filled hungry stomachs better than simpler fruits. Dates were the ultimate luxury item. Large, meaty varieties from North African ports contained incredible sugar amounts and provided sustained energy. Storage required constant vigilance against moisture and hungry pests that would destroy supplies. Even tiny amounts of water could completely ruin entire supplies through dangerous mold or unwanted fermentation. Smart captains carefully distributed small portions regularly instead of allowing crews to gorge themselves when supplies were temporarily plentiful. There was one special sweetener that never spoiled under any conditions. Honey was the absolute miracle substance that pirates treasured above almost everything else. Carefully stored in clay pots throughout ships, this golden liquid never spoiled, sweetened horrible foods, and effectively treated wounds and various illnesses. Pirates couldn't understand why honey stayed perfectly fresh while everything else rotted quickly. They just knew it could last for years without spoiling, making it incredibly valuable for long ocean voyages where most other foods failed. Single spoonfuls could magically transform the most disgusting meals into something humans might actually want to eat willingly. Pirates added precious honey to hardtack bread, stirred it into bitter drinks, and used it for making terrible medicines barely tolerable. Medical uses went far beyond simple wound care applications. Honey effectively treated painful sore throats, persistent coughs, and serious stomach problems from eating terrible food and drinking contaminated water. They mixed honey with rum, creating effective cough medicine. Storage had unique challenges despite honey's amazing natural preservation power. Clay pots could easily shatter during violent storms, while wooden containers sometimes leaked if not properly sealed with care. Captains often personally controlled honey distribution, knowing that pirates would selfishly hoard it if given any chance. Quality mattered greatly. Pure honey was clear and smooth, while inferior products contained water or other impurities. When crew members became too sick for regular food, honey played special medicinal roles. Ship biscuit soup was the closest thing to actual comfort food available when pirates fell seriously ill or suffered painful injuries during dangerous voyages. This soft, mushy meal was created by slowly boiling hardtack until it completely dissolved into digestible porridge that the sick crew could swallow. It was like performing actual magic, turning completely inedible rocks back into something that might not kill you immediately. Hardtack pieces were carefully broken and boiled slowly until they miraculously transformed into something that vaguely resembled actual edible food. Pirates added honey, sugar, or rum when supplies allowed to significantly increase calories and make the soup more appealing to sick crew members who had completely lost their appetite. The soup was incredibly easy to digest for pirates suffering from serious stomach problems, violent seasickness, or dental issues that made normal chewing completely impossible. Older crew members with missing teeth could easily consume this soft preparation. Quality control was absolutely essential since sick crew members couldn't afford to eat contaminated food that might make their conditions worse. Boiling killed dangerous bacteria and made questionable hardtack safer, but pirates still carefully smelled and tasted first. Different thickness levels served different medical purposes depending on how sick the patient actually was. Thin soup worked for severely ill pirates who could barely swallow anything, while thicker versions provided more essential calories. The emotional comfort of having shipmates who cared enough to prepare special food built incredible loyalty among pirates. Healthy pirates definitely preferred much more substantial meals for their demanding work. Pickled fish gave pirates a reliable protein source that survived many months without spoiling, while providing sharp, tangy flavors that effectively cut through their monotonous diet of bland preserved foods. Cod, mackerel, and herring were tightly packed in barrels with strong brine or vinegar solutions. Fresh fish were thoroughly cleaned, packed extremely tightly, and completely covered with acidic solutions that prevented dangerous spoilage by creating harsh environments where harmful bacteria simply couldn't survive at all. Sturdy cod could easily handle strong brines without falling apart completely, while delicate herring needed much gentler treatment to maintain their texture. Pirates quickly learned which fish species worked best for their specific preservation methods. The acidic solutions could actually eat through metal fittings over time, proving that even preserved fish could effectively fight back against storage. Vinegar pickled fish had intensely sharp tastes that some pirates absolutely loved and others completely hated with passion. Preparation methods ranged from eating fish straight from barrels to carefully incorporating them into stews and other cooked dishes. Some pirates thoroughly rinse pickled fish before eating to reduce the overwhelming salty or vinegar flavors. Different coastal regions specialized in completely different types of pickled fish varieties. Mediterranean crews typically had pickled anchovies, while Atlantic pirates usually had pickled cod, creating valuable trading opportunities. The convenience factor was absolutely huge for busy ship life. Unlike fresh fish requiring immediate consumption, pickled varieties could be eaten whenever crews desperately needed protein. Sometimes pirates wanted their protein to be as fresh as humanly possible. Live animals represented the absolute ultimate luxury on pirate ships. Chickens, pigs, and goats somehow kept alive in extremely cramped conditions, providing genuinely fresh meat and valuable products like eggs and milk for crews. Smart pirates treated their precious chickens like feathered gold mines that needed constant arm protection from hungry shipmates. The logistics were absolutely enormous. Precious fresh water had to be carefully shared between humans and animals competing for limited resources. Chickens were the most practical choice available, needing significantly less food and space while consistently producing fresh eggs regularly. Pigs offered much more meat per animal, but required substantial resources that directly competed with essential human survival needs. Goats provided the unique benefit of fresh milk for weeks before eventual slaughter, considerably extending their overall value and usefulness to hungry crews. Slaughter timing required extremely careful planning based on weather conditions and storage capabilities. Fresh meat spoiled incredibly quickly in tropical heat, so animals were killed only when conditions allowed for temporary preservation. Health management was crude but absolutely necessary for overall ship safety. Sick animals could easily contaminate entire crews with disease, so pirates constantly monitored their valuable livestock using whatever basic veterinary knowledge they possessed. The unexpected psychological benefits were significant. Caring for living creatures provided genuine emotional comfort during long, violent voyages and powerfully reminded hardened pirates of peaceful land life. Among all animal products available, eggs held especially special significance for hungry crews. Eggs provided incredibly fresh protein that tasted absolutely amazing, but lasted only 2 to 4 weeks without any refrigeration. Truly the champagne of pirate cuisine obtained from ship chickens or valuable port trading opportunities. They were like dangerous edible time bombs that became increasingly more dangerous the longer you foolishly waited to eat them. The freshness timeline was completely unforgiving. Newly laid eggs could last nearly a month in cool conditions, but each passing day significantly decreased quality. Storage methods had to carefully account for rough ship conditions and complete lack of cooling options available. Eggs were packed in salt, sawdust, or cushioning materials to prevent costly breakage during violent storms and rough weather. Quality assessment became a critical survival skill since spoiled eggs could cause serious illness or death. Pirates learned to crack eggs very carefully and smell them before cooking, constantly watching for obvious spoilage signs. Fresh eggs could be boiled, fried, scrambled, or added to stews and other dishes, giving creative pirates multiple preparation options for maximizing their value. Rationing strategies varied significantly among different crews. Some captains immediately distributed eggs while perfectly fresh, while others tried making limited supplies last by carefully limiting individual portions. The emotional impact was absolutely huge for crew morale. After weeks of eating terrible preserved foods, simple boiled eggs could dramatically boost morale and remind pirates of civilized life. Cultural preferences strongly influenced preparation methods. Some pirates preferred them barely cooked, while others insisted on thorough cooking for safety. Dairy products were even rarer treasures that required very special handling. Hard cheese was among the very few dairy products tough enough to survive brutal heat and humidity of long ocean voyages, offering creamy richness in the harsh world of preserved foods. Aged varieties like cheddar could last for weeks without spoiling completely. These wheels were like edible armor plating, effectively protecting delicious contents from the harsh realities of brutal ocean travel. The aging process that created hard cheese also made it absolutely perfect for ship life by removing moisture and developing protective rinds. Storage techniques required carefully balancing protection with practical accessibility for daily use by hungry crews. Cheese wheels were wrapped in cloth and stored in the coolest, driest ship areas where temperature changes were minimal and damage unlikely. Well-aged cheddar remained delicious for many months, while inferior cheeses quickly developed disgusting mold or completely revolting off flavors that made them inedible within weeks. Mold management became a necessary survival skill since some surface growth was completely inevitable during long storage periods. Experienced pirates learned to distinguish between harmless surface mold that could be scraped away and dangerous contamination. Hard cheese could be grated into stews, melted over hardtack, or eaten in satisfying chunks as protein-rich snacks between regular meals. Regional preferences created valuable trading opportunities when different pirate crews encountered each other during voyages. English crews typically had aged cheddar, while Mediterranean pirates specialized in hard goat cheeses. The luxury aspect provided genuine psychological comfort that went far beyond mere nutrition. Creamy texture and rich flavor powerfully reminded pirates of civilized life. Another compact food source was much easier to store safely. Nuts were absolutely nature's perfect travel food, densely packed with healthy fats and essential calories in convenient shell-protected packages that lasted many months when kept completely dry. Almonds, walnuts, and hazelnuts provided concentrated nutrition for demanding physical work. Pirates treated their precious nut supplies like miniature treasure hoards, knowing that handfuls could mean the crucial difference between energy and complete exhaustion. Natural packaging made nuts absolutely ideal for situations where storage space was extremely precious and limited. Hard protective shells effectively protected nutritious meat inside from moisture and hungry pests, while their compact size meant large quantities could fit in very small storage areas. Almonds provided excellent protein content and stayed fresh longest under harsh conditions. Walnuts offered beneficial oils but required more careful storage to prevent rancidity. Hazelnuts were smaller and much easier to eat quickly. Storage methods focused on keeping nuts completely dry and protecting them from persistent rats and insects that would destroy supplies. Canvas sacks worked well for large quantities, while smaller amounts went in sealed containers. Preparation was beautifully simple. Nuts could be eaten directly without any cooking or processing required. This made them absolutely perfect for quick energy during emergencies or long night watches. Different coastal regions offered various nut types that created valuable trading opportunities between crews. The convenience factor allowed pirates to carry personal supplies for individual energy needs. When food supplies ran dangerously low, even the most disgusting scraps became valuable. Slush was the greasy, absolutely disgusting fat collected from boiled meat that desperate pirates carefully saved when food supplies ran dangerously low. This revolting material provided essential calories and could even be sold in port for slush fund money. Pirates learned that even the most disgusting leftovers had genuine value when your life depended on consuming every possible calorie available. When salted meat was boiled for meals, fat would rise to the surface and congeal into thick gray layers. Pirates used this horrible fat for frying other foods, adding extra calories to stews, or spreading on hardtack like terrible butter that tasted like concentrated salt and pure grease. Storage required constant attention since fat could easily go rancid and become dangerous to eat. Slush had to be kept in sealed containers away from heat and light that would cause rapid spoilage. Some creative crews tried heating slush with precious spices to mask the terrible taste, while others mixed it with hardtack crumbs, creating something resembling actual food instead of pure, disgusting grease. The psychological challenge was almost as difficult as the physical act of consumption. Pirates had to overcome natural disgust and force themselves to consume something that looked like kitchen waste. It proved that even the toughest pirates had definite limits to what they could stomach, and slush tested those limits daily. Pirate food represented a fascinating mix of survival necessity, creative resourcefulness, and occasional stolen luxury that made harsh ocean life barely tolerable for crews.